I speak to the Ummah, I speak to the Muslimeen, I speak to the young men who believe the sales pitch of the murderers who call themselves Mujahideen. I speak to those who hope to sacrifice themselves in a bazaar or a gathering. Before they strap the bomb to your body, hear me. You are told that your sacrifice will be remembered when all the world bends the knee to Islam. Actually, in 5 years, only your mother and father will remember you. Believe it, fool. See if you can find a list of names of Palestinian jihadis who blew themselves up during the Intifada. No one will remember you with pride, because no one will remember you. Today you are told it is acceptable to kill Muslims if you are striking a blow against an infidel. But if you die murdering 24 Muslims in the streets of Baghdad, Mohammed will meet you at the gates of paradise with a flaming sword. He will cry out, "Did I not say that the believers are no other thing but brothers?" He will send you down to the lowest pit of hell to suffer all eternity in the company of hypocrites and misers. Your 72 Uris will be 72 jinn, unclean jinn, and their job throughout eternity will be to remind you of the brothers and sisters you murdered. I am an infidel, yet I know this. How do I know? Every infidel with a mind has studied Islam. If we read the Quran and the early books on Muhammad, we feel we have found a religion which punishes hypocrisy. My religion is Christianity. We forgive hypocrisy, and thereby we have rewarded it. We give money to those who lie to us, and they continue to lie. So, when we read the Quran, we have hope that a good religion exists in the world. But then we meet modern Muslims, and it is like meeting Christian hypocrites. We encounter liars, frauds, murderers, thieves, and those are the good Muslims. They bravely declare Osama did a good thing when he murdered the unarmed people of New York City. But I tell you that the purpose of a religion is to make men out of beasts. And I say to you that Islam is being used to make beasts out of men. I will prove it. All Muslims tell me that all Muslims are the same everywhere. They worship the same God. They keep the same 5 pillars. Well, not quite. Muslims in Sudan murder and enslave the black. Muslims in Mauritania write their laws so as to steal land and property from non-Muslims. Everyone knows the Muslims of Libya are somehow different from the Muslims in Tunisia and Algeria and Egypt. And certainly the Islam of today is changed from the Islam of Muhammad. This change began during the Caliphate of the Companions, as the Arabs conquered north into Syria and Persia, and west into Egypt and Tunisia and Morocco. Vast amounts of money began to flow into Mecca and Medina and Damascus. Only Abu Bakr died a natural death, if he was not poisoned. We are told an angry slave murdered Omar, and Othman was accused of nepotism and pinned to the floor by a dozen Egyptian swords. Ali was stabbed in the head with a poisoned sword by a fanatic Kharijite. Hassan wisely chose to retire comfortably to a crowded harem, but his son Hussein was massacred with all the men and boys of his family at Karbala. 5 commanders of the faithful dead or retired within 30 years of the death of the Prophet. Islam was divided already between Shia and Sunni, between Mecca and Medina, between Umayyads and Hashemites, between the Quraysh and the Badawi. And in the year the Black Stone was broken into 3 pieces, 3 caliphs reigned and died. Is this the leadership Muslims want? So Islam was divided. The Shia imams were poisoned, imprisoned, or murdered as other caliphs saw the necessity or enjoyed a state of overconfidence. The last of these was Al-Mahdi, who disappeared into the desert, either at age 4 or age 12. He was replaced by a family servant who fathered a line of imams who received messages from Al-Mahdi, who lived in a state of invisibility for 4 generations. If you believe that, you believe in flaming jinn. And then we have the Sunni. Each time a caliph, a warlord, or an ambitious soldier wanted to kill an important Muslim, he would invent a sunnah, an authentic tradition of Muhammad. He would discover it written on old goatskin or paper, the writing of someone who actually knew the Prophet, and miraculously that sunnah offered an excuse to murder a fellow Muslim. So many of these sunnahs were invented that al-Bukhari examined 600,000 authentic traditions of Muhammad. In the Christian year 870, he published only 7,275 in the Sahih. 100 years earlier, Ibn Abi al-Awja proudly announced at his own execution that he alone had fabricated 4,000 sunnah, many of which were still in popular use years after he died. Everyone acknowledged the worldwide fraud of the sunnah. It became a joke. Because the caliphate taxed its people unmercifully, the caliphs were rich, and other men always wanted their money. These men, ambitious viziers, eunuchs, warlords, friends, and the wives and relatives of the caliph, all schemed and plotted and planned, and when they struck, they always found a sunnah to excuse the crime. So they killed him, they took over the government, and became rich. Then they paid the faqirs to make adjustments to the Sharia, incorporating the new sunnah. What a flexible religion you have. Each time this happened, Islam was changed. This is why Muslims are different in every nation of Islam, and all Islam is radically different from the Islam of Muhammad. The definition of Islamic culture is this: if you don't like the leadership of your nation, you wait, because someone will kill him. The replacement will then announce a new sunnah, a statement by Muhammad which justifies the murder of the dead leader. So Islam is a religion which assigns the lowest pit of hell to hypocrites, yet Islam has enshrined the hypocrisy of politics in the sunnah, and Islam has been changed by every caliph and emir and general and king and warlord who ever murdered his predecessor. And the imams and muezzins and mullahs and clerics all accept this as normal for 2 reasons. 1, they remain alive. 2, the mosque remains wealthy when the mosque supports the government. They don't care who the government is or how much you suffer. And because the mosque does not care, you have no voice. They listen to your troubles and they pull their beards, but they don't take chances. The most courageous Muslim leader who ever lived was Ataturk. Ataturk was like a man with one leg who threw away his crutches. He said, "We don't need the mosque to support us. We will be a good government in Turkey, and we will be divorced from the mosque. And look at them. The Turkish people are free and prosperous, and they prosecute their murderers." Are you free and prosperous? Or are you a victim of the criminals who tell you it is a sin to cooperate against the Mujahideen? I am Quixote. If Muslims had a friend in Spain, he might explain what that means.